Today's topic is the rise of a young Indian from a village in Kerala to a town in Italy. He has studied his way there. Hello, everyone. Good to be with you once again. Today, I have with me Nandu. He's going to do his PhD in economics from Italy. He's come all this way from Kerala, small town, small village in Kerala. He'll tell us all about it, his views, his ideas as a young Indian also. Very happy to have you with us, Nandu. Over to you.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Professor Subodh. It's very happy as well as very proud to be back with you. Like I think more or less like before 1 year we had started this conversation, and now we are back on a track where I would be very happy to share my views and personal things about me. It's particularly that the idea or the thought that you are putting in front of the audience is really something that I am aligned with. So let me start introducing myself to head. So I'm Nandu. I'm from Kerala, the southernmost state in India. So I have done my bachelor's in economics from University of Kerala from the Mar Ivanios College in Trivandrum. It's a capital city of the state. And then after I have done my master's in economics from Center for Economic Studies and Planning, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Then I was working with Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, as an academic associate, where I used to assist faculties in research as well as teaching activities for almost 1.5 years. Then in 2022, October, I have got admission to one of the prestigious PhD program in Italy. It's a PhD program jointly funded by University of Siena, University of Pisa, and University of Florence, called the Tuscany's PhD program in economics. So right now, I am a PhD scholar in economics, enrolled at this Tuscany University's PhD program.
Okay, Nandu, let me stop you there. Tell us about the beginning of your childhood and schooling and all, right?
Sure. So like I have been brought up in a family like where my father was actually, right now he's an ex-serviceman. He was in Indian Army, and my mother is like homemaker. And I don't have any idea of like how to move forward with the education, because one of the main reasons is that when I saw my father, like for the memory, like coming from the army, whenever he comes for the leave, I used to see him like once in a like once like 10 days in a month or something. Then it not to be like supporting kind of family could not do anything much for my education regarding my schooling. So the schooling was more or less in the most proximate area where I could go for the education. Then after like I think I was really good at studies. So then towards my 10th standard, like the basic education, once I completed, I really got good score, good marks in my examination. But regardless of the score, there used to be a saying that you should go for science, you should go for engineering, kind of mainstream talks in most of the part in India, I would say. So from that, I didn't choose myself to be in the science field. I'm really interested in the arts and the humanities field, but I would see, like, let me think, like I should not go for the science, but I should not be very hardcore humanitarian. So then I started choosing commerce as my field of study. Then I did my higher secondary in commerce. But once I started with the higher secondary education, something that I really enjoyed is studying economics. Just a subject in my higher secondary education made me realize that there is something crux that I should understand from a subject called economics. Then I started moving towards economics. Then there starts everything. First of all, I have to fight against my family by saying that, yeah, I am in commerce, because once I started admission in commerce, I said that I will become a chartered accountant. But now I have to convince them by saying that, okay, I'm turning out my track. So in order to convince them, the best way that I would say that they don't know much about economics because they are not exposed to the economics. Even the India, like, yeah, I would say like 10 years would be like really not exposed to a subject kind of economics.
Right.
So in that sense, it was very difficult. What is this economics? Okay, economics you can, then what's the job you will get once you done with the stuff?
Yeah.
Then it was really difficult. Then after I started like thinking about how to convince, then the best way in front of me was civil service, because I was reading a lot, and I was very interested in civil service. Then I told them that economics is one subject which I could crack civil service.
Yes,
Then,
sir.
in order to be myself happy, I said economics I will take, then I will go for civil service.
Right.
But I started concentrating to get my bachelor's in economics. By the time I did my bachelor's, I was able to make them very happy because I was getting scholarship for 3 years during my undergraduation. So that makes them little relief that okay, this he can do himself. So there is not much struggle that we have to put upon. That kind of pressure relief my family got, and then it was very easy for me to move ahead from that, though the constraints was much higher. So I would say very proudly and happily that I didn't ask more than, I would say, like in Indian currency, 1 lakh rupees for my education throughout the period from my higher secondary till now. Like it was really happy because one of the main constraint for anyone to come out is like, first of all, the family constraints would be there, then the financial constraint. I was able to make my family convinced with the family thoughts and all those ideas, but financial constraints I never faced because I was able to make myself equipped with the financial eligibility through the scholarships, the fellowships, and the grants. It was all done by myself. I would say very happily, like I didn't get any help from anywhere. It was not even that kind of field, even economics. Then till from my undergraduation in a state university in Kerala with low level of mathematics dealt, like a subject economics, which is very mainstream mathematical. Something that I had was the confidence and the mindset to study maths, though I am not good mathematician. And then I started preparing myself during my undergraduation. There used to be a saying that, see, the top Indian institutes for economics are meant for the Delhi or the people from hardcore mathematics and statistics. And there used to be a saying. Then something I really focused to get into the top institution. Then I would say, like by the end of my third year, the graduation, I had written almost 24 entrance examinations throughout the country to get into the central universities and the top institutes. And almost 16 institutes I cracked. And then finally, I went into the India's top university, Jawaharlal Nehru University, for my master's. And it was something that I would say, like the period I was going through was to make my family convinced, to not make them feel that I am going to be a place where I would be spending a lot with my education, to make them feel that, okay, regardless of the fact, he will do himself everything alone. So it was kind of a difficult period, but I don't think that it was difficult because in a way I was able to make sure everything myself and make myself convinced so that I was able to convince my family. So if something I would say to anyone who is listening to this is that it should be very clear that you should convince yourself rather than convincing anybody else, because it's very important. If you can convince, you can definitely convince anyway. So I was convinced that I will go for economics. That's where I started the story of civil service. But regardless of being a civil servant or not, I'm very happy to be in this position, and my family is really proud and happy that right now where I am going through, even though I didn't achieve a lot, I'm very happy where I am destined. I am on track, I would say. So in that sense, my undergraduation was fulfilled properly. Then from the state, I would say, like I was the first student from my state after 5 years in JNU to be in a master's program. So this is something like really privileged. Then started working with some of the top economists in economics from JNU. Even I started reading to and getting exposed to the mainstream economics readers as well as the heterodox economics textbooks and the readers. So then there starts my motivation to being a good economist. Then again the story comes after masters. What should be done? You should go for you should go for a PhD, or you should get into the job market. And the most of the people where I would have talked with, they were saying you should go for a job because India is going through big unemployment. Once the time you complete your studies and getting back to the job track again, it would be a big issue. So try to get a good job as soon as possible. Then I didn't thought about the job. My priority was to get a proper good academic knowledge. So I really thought about getting into PhD. And by the time of my second year in masters in JNU, I was really sure that I will not go for a PhD directly. I should work myself at least in the research and academia field for 1 year. Then I started applying to different institutes for the research assistant and academic associate kind of post. And I got selection from 4 institutes, and finally I choose IIM Kozhikode, my home state IIM, where I was working as the academic associate. And then everything changed. My idea of being a PhD student in India started growing up from the IIM. And the first day I still remember, the professors I met at IIM told me, you should go to the foreign PhD program, you should target, because there are scopes to get into good PhD program. Then I started working for the PhD. So something I would say to the audience, because there is a big audience as far as I know, having low confidence, they know a lot of economics and maths and all those subjects. They have low confidence thinking that shall I go or whether I will get it. In that sense, I would say something that I had only is the confidence, and with that confidence I applied to different institutes, and I started working with faculties at IAM, and even I did a good number of internships, and I was very happy that I was an intern in a Niti Aayog, the replaced Planning Commission of India. Then I worked with some of the institutes like Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation in India, then Center for Development Studies. It's one of the best academic and research institutes in India. Then I worked with the Ministry of External Affairs through their think tank. So it was something like everything happened all of a sudden. But
Okay, now let me ask you, where did you get this confidence? It's not sold in the market, so where did you get it? Who's responsible for your confidence?
So to be frank, I would say my mother, because till 8th standard, my track was like, okay, I'm kind of a very, very feared guy. Like, I don't want to do like something like that. Then I was very interested in playing cricket. Like as an Indian, cricket is something that's very close to our heart. And I used to go for playing every day. Like, and something I would get always the scolding from my father is that I would play cricket. So in order to make myself not to play cricket during the vacation, my mother started she sent me to a civil service orientation camp. From there, everything changed. I would say that's the point where everything changed. That orientation camp made me really good orientation to academics or the studies, rather than being not in civil service. But I would say something that the confidence is built through these orientation camps. So I like consistently attended different orientation camps. I listened to different bureaucrats, academicians. Then something, all of a sudden, something that I had compared to the folks I worked with is that, okay, I can do something regardless what I have. So from that, whenever I started with my own confidence, something started working perfectly. Then it gives an addition that, yes, I should say this to someone else. Then by sharing my story to from that level, that sharing itself made me more better than being holding myself. So always I tried to share and talk with a lot of people, and something I really enjoy is like chatting with people, students, and especially with my juniors. Something that I share. From there, everything changed, and now right now, like as of now, I have a platform called Economiga, founded with Naveen. He's right now a PhD enrolled PhD scholar, and everything is based just on the confidence. But I would say this confidence is merely because of my mother, that started from like 8th standard onwards. And now something that which is not sold in market could be sold by myself in the market. It's all again because of this confidence.
Good. No, I'm glad that your mother is the person who has made you who you are. Okay. The mother is always the key to it. I agree with you on that. Okay. So you are in Italy. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, sure. Because truly, I would say like this program is really intense. Like I'm supposed to complete my PhD in 3 years
Yeah.
with a coursework of 8 months. It's really intense. But I would say this is like really a good exposure building. Like a student who comes from definitely from one part of India where we are not supposed to be in the mainstream of economics or the main economics research if you are not having that kind of orientation. But I would say that more or less, if you have the courage to do, even if you don't know everything, with some orientation and some really good level of dedication, getting into a good PhD or the target where you are sustained is definitely sure. So in that sense, whatever I had in my mind was this confidence, and now still I am sitting in this confidence, and I am enjoying Italy, though I was having some hardships in studying initially. Now I like overcome everything and really happy to be here in this program.
Okay, we'll come back to you in 1 year to see whether you are still doing it or you are. Because PhD is very hard.
Sure.
PhD is a very difficult degree, and you go through ups and downs.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of that. If you
Sure.
get some downs, it's normal. Okay, things happen. Okay. Anything else you want to tell the people as a young Indian, not as you, but as a young Indian, what you have seen, what you feel, what your hopes are for India, what are hopes for your group, people, anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. This is not to blame anything or anyone. Like whenever I came to this program, or whenever I told that I'm moving out of India for a PhD, most of the people out of 10, 9 would be asking, okay, you are going to settle in Italy or in a foreign country, right? Like this was one of the main question I followed. So the answer to this question would be my view of India. So in that sense, I would say I am not here in Italy or in any of the foreign PhD program to live in that country. I'm not targeted for that. I'm really interested and thinking to come back to India with whatever I'm getting. Here I am to see the different exposure and difference in the academy and the research that have been dealt with high level of academic and research concentration. And so what I would say is that India is having highly good and extensive manpower, particularly once it comes to the academy and education. But what we are lagging is that we are not ready to expose whatever we had, and we are not ready to accommodate everything. So the accommodative mindset should be really something that Indians, as an young Indian, I would say, anybody or everyone should target. So in that sense, I would say India should be ready to accommodate anything. Though India is accommodative, we are not really accommodative to the point we are destined to. So in that sense, most of the economic problems or the social problems would be solved in India for sure if we have the accommodative mindset. And something I would be very
Can you
happy.
wait? Can you give an example?
Yeah, sure. Coming to the education itself, something I really admire of the Indian teachers is that Indian teachers do a lot of effort to make the students learn compared to most of the country teachers, because I have been exposed to some of the different country teachers or the different foreign teachers right now. So I understood that the effort put by the Indian teachers is relatively, I'm not generalizing, relatively much higher. But why still the students from India doesn't have this confidence, or why still the students in the academy does not have the thought that we could do something, is just something that we lack. So if we can feed that gap, or if we can bridge that gap, yes, we can do. That could be done, then that would be the best way to build most of the solutions for any of the economic or the social problems right now we are facing. To be precise, we have the problem of unemployment, but at the same time, as we know, we are the highly demographic dividend economy. And how to bridge this is that we have to be really quick and adaptive in whatever we have, thinking about the constraints. And in that sense, the bridging of the problems through an accommodative stance is very important right now, to be precise.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, I think we are pretty much done here. Anything else you want to add before we close?
I don't think, but let me say some frank words from my heart. Like, this is really a good platform, regardless of being me here in talking with Professor Subodh. Like, this is something that every Indian should ask for. Like, regardless of wherever you are, the feeling of Indian or feeling of giving back to India is really awesome. So in that sense, understanding and thinking about India, and such that we can make the Indians feel that yes, we can do something. So this platform would turn out to be something like that, I would say. So I would really appreciate your time and effort you put forward for this initiative to be very something that any Indian should feel. So something that close to my heart is that Economiga, I said sometime before, and what we are trying to do is the same thing. Regardless of wherever we are trying to give maximum to the Indians, maximum to the Indian economics aspirants. So in that sense, I would really appreciate, and thanks to Professor Subodh for giving me a good opportunity to interact with a good level of audience.
Well, I'm so happy to be associated with young people because I see in you and your friends, the future of India is really bright. Okay, because you are all hardworking, motivated, taking advantage of opportunities worldwide. Because we are no longer villagers, we are worldwide.
Yes.
We are
Well,
global, right? That's the only way to be. And so, thank you, Nandu. It is a great pleasure. Let's say bye to the viewers now, and uh, then thanks to Nandu. I'll be back next time with another young person, perhaps, or an expert. Let's see what happens. Bye for now.
bye.